It's called The View?
It's called The View. It's not called The Facts.
Yeah, but isn't it interesting that it's called, I mean, I don't think they meant this when Barbara Walters invented it a long time ago, but it's The View.
Well,
that's the problem in America.
But
there is one view,
right, and
one
that's clearly
true opinion, and everybody else can go sit in the corner.
Sunny on live TV, Hostin was merely tag-teamed. Additionally, this wasn't a friendly return, and no, this was a verbal altercation. Mugging thanks to Megyn and Maher and Kelly, it seemed like the savagery of the Geneva Convention may require revision. For a brief while during the day, Sunny was sipping her tea in a quite relaxed manner on the scene as though she was in charge, and she was face first in the subsequent blast. Those cue cards appear to be those of someone just sent a surprise eviction notice to her.
They're disgusting. She's Anna Navarro in your wildest imagination. You could never solo host a show. You will only ever make it as part of an ensemble, and you could never hope to achieve the success that Tucker Carlson has. So you can sit in your little cheap seats all day long and enjoy your little negative henpecking, but your careers are going nowhere, and Tucker is about to dominate.
What triggered this image, then? Battle so intense that Bravo became a reality. TV appeared to be a sermon from a church. Only he can use such dry, razored sarcasm. Can manage as Megyn slid in with her icy surgical removals, and together Sunny's whole portion was turned into there was no argument, it was a demolition site. Was a street brawl between students, and a poor Sunny arrived brandishing a glitter pen. When they arrived with teary eyes, receivables from that soapbox and bulldozers she adores shaky as much as money. Business that imitates IKEA, and when the dust all she could do after she was situated was blink like the last boss appeared in her email just now. Marked as past due Wi-Fi bill.
I want to talk about Whoopi Goldberg because I got so many texts this week because she attacked me the week before.
Sure.
So everybody was like, oh, Bill, I get you're enjoying the karma. First of all, I'm going to talk about this at the end of my show next week, teaser. But there is no fucking thing as karma, okay? Get over that. Whoopi attacks me on a regular basis. She says stupid shit on a regular basis. It just happened to coincide.
Let's discuss Sunny hosts preferred using that legal degree as a party trick, as though it were a high-end purse with a girl with a blade in it handles her resume. Like a flex pass to win each and every disagreement at this juncture. Former federal, it would be as if the prosecutor were imprinted on she's always wearing glitter gel on her forehead. She's eager to remind everyone that she's a lawyer. Knowledgeable, however, when she first starts as a lawyer, in a sentence, you already aware that it will soon be either completely incorrect, excruciatingly simple, or arrogant in some way, Sunny, it will cause your skin to itch. Strikes all three in a single breath, as if seeing a TED lecture in a courtroom, but there isn't any concrete proof, only constant moral instruction tinged with attitude regardless of the subject. TikTok Sunny, mayo in the refrigerator, dancing memes will in some way turn it into a speech. A cat video on systematic unfairness that's it seems that colonization is a cooking trick. Coded oppression is what she's essentially outrage in a walking, talking form. Twitter is noisy, dramatic, and constantly prepared to misinterpret the task on objective.
That hot mess that they air in the mornings, called The View, had to issue not one, not two, not three, but 4 corrections, legal corrections. 4 legal notes. Not to mention what they did at that debate, where once again, they tried to fact check only one side, and then when their fact checks got fact checked, they cowered. They cowered in fear. I mean, this is a pattern.
The worst part is that even Whoopi seemed to be silently pleading for the finish of the section. You know, that side eye is notorious. She's thinking, don't make this mess again. Sunny is transforming a dish for salad into a Sunny host civil rights case. Didn't she was crushed after losing a discussion in a philosophical hit, like Roadkill and Run, and all she was able to do was leave with that characteristic frown that yells, I'm disappointed, not angry, in everyone. You see, having it is one thing. Daring viewpoints, yet Sunny twists every divide into an equal one-woman theater production. Part soapbox and courtroom monologue tantrum. She isn't sharing thoughts. She is delivering her sermon from Mount Condescension. Like we're all sinners and it's Sunday. This is for those who did not read the syllabus. Megyn Kelly and Maher in the twist don't play the game. It's unnecessary. Dramatic pauses or standing ovations, they presented her with unvarnished facts, sharp wit, and surgical reasoning, and so forth. Sonny's swagger TED Talk became an awkward improv session without a joke with no response from the fans.
Any term you want. Okay. Because maybe that is a word that's triggering, and so let's not use that word. I don't know, want to call it the super far left, but don't tell me the left
Or maybe the super far right. Well, he's talking about the left. Well, then
okay, but we talked about that. I mean, I think we agree about the danger of the super far right, and I can't say it enough. I think they're the bigger threat. But don't tell me that the left hasn't changed. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm old enough to remember when it was the conservatives who hated the Jews.
Yeah.
Rather than adapting, she went all throttle, making louder gestures and talking more loudly, such as loudness might compensate for content. He sat back like that, yet my hair was as chilly as ice. An overconfident student being graded by a professor, an article by a student titled, "Why I'm Always." He didn't need to interrupt her, he's right. Folded like a cheap beach, according to my own reasoning chair, she just dropped each term. Deepened the hole she wasn't discussing. She was going into a severe spiral now. At one point in time, Sonny wasn't highlighting the fact that she was holding a one-woman pity party that includes no RSVPs and self-righteous fireworks visitors. Then Megyn Kelly took a chilly calm and more incisive than a switchblade, no screaming or theatricality in a velvet case, simply surgical accuracy. She didn't clap. Back she carefully and silently disassembled, and layer after layer, without showing any mercy, she eliminated Sonny Host's performance poise, similar to removing poor laminate off of what was remaining of the fake designer bag beneath an empty echo chamber filled with reheated anger and second-hand fury talking points. View Sonny's whole portfolio is designed to never be examined. She doesn't argue. She just talks to her formula. Moralize, rinse, accuse, dramatize, and continue. But when someone like Megyn quietly intervenes and punctures that blown-up bubble with just one factual needle.
And finally, new rule: stop saying that Whoopi Goldberg getting yanked from The View right after she attacked me on The View is karma. There's no such thing as karma. Sorry. Sorry, but life is random. The only word to describe it when a big game hunter gets trampled by an elephant and then eaten by lions is hilarious.
The fall is abrupt and excruciating. Observing this wasn't a mistake. Rather, it was a complete ideological annihilation of her high. She was interrupted by the horse, because when all you have to support yourself is greater morality, even in the most subdued difficulty comes like a ton of bricks, and Megyn didn't even speak louder. Just brought out the obvious, and Sonny's the entire performance collapsed like a shoddy prop. In a courtroom play with a little budget, and admittedly, Megyn Kelly's present Sonny seems to be sent into DEFCON by itself. Her name is stated in the second one. Sonny's voice rises as if she's Megyn is genuine. She's crazy and averse to facts. Criminality having the gall to talk in complete sentences based on facts on The View. That level of clarity, it seems to be in that studio. Black magic was thought to the vista. If you dare to mention real facts without a tearful sigh or dramatic a hair flip or meltdown that could DEFCON 5 signal, you're essentially a danger to Megyn Kelly and the ecology. Oh, she is the biggest public opponent.
Discussion on The View about world superpowers, from the sound of it. That's how they got into it. And Sonny Hostin made some comments about patriotism and America and Black America. It's all in there, Jason. I mean, it's all in there. I'm going to tee it up. It starts with Alyssa Farah, who's supposed to be the Republican commentator. And then you'll hear Sonny jump in. Listen.
If America is not the #1 global power, it's not going to be Denmark. It's going to be communist China, a country that right now the government is imprisoning Uyghur Muslims in concentration camps. It is a deeply racist government. It's a human rights violating government. It is a government that if they are the leader of the free world, we are not a free world the way that we are right now.
The notion of patriotism and the notion of America and the American flag has been co-opted by the right as if they are true patriots. Mm-hmm. But when I listen to Christopher Wray, the head of the FBI, he said white supremacy is the biggest domestic threat.
Sonny is over there, holding her. Comments regarding the recent loss of democracy vague, delivered you this week's crisis. Feelings TM, and an overly dramatic Megyn simply sits there in the MSNBC segment. Reasonably calmly, it's insulting. Sincerely, she references the sources she uses. According to her statistics, she passed middle school. It's terrible to go to school without weeping. Blatantly terrifying panel show allergic to calmness and judgment while contemplating. Sonny's tool set appears as though she stole the item from the theatrical club. Terry complains about closet smoke bombs, and the occasional shoulder shimmy used for interpretation intended to represent centuries of she has oppression theatrics. Disagreements less frequently, and then there's Megyn is dropping cold, fact-checked, and clean. Rockets directly into the center of Sonny's indignant speech one, following one more cutting through the cacophony like A with receipts. The surgeon is like a spectator. Attendance at a chess tournament using a coloring book that is shiny, and then throw a fit due to their rainbow. The unicorn bishop is exempt from the regulations. Each time Megyn bombards her with information you can observe history or logic. Sonny's eyes widened as she glitched. As the volume increases, the defense is always the same: withdrawal into the stronghold of outrage and hope that no one took note of the breakdown, similar to witnessing someone claim that oppression is equal to 2 plus 2. And then lose their temper when someone tugs you, half expect to find a calculator out. Sonny will yell, "You're not allowed to bring math into this mess." As if common sense there is currently a hate crime of some sort.
Donald Trump will be sworn in as the 47th President of the United States, yay, on January 20th of this month. Not everyone's happy about it, and many people would like us to be more focused on the insurrection that he personally unleashed. If you ask them, as we discussed earlier, they think it's as bad as like the Holocaust, and you don't have to take my word for it. Here is Sonny Hostin of
January
The View
6th was
today.
an atrocity. It was one of the worst moments in American history. And when you think about the worst moments in American history, like World War II, things that happened, like the Holocaust, chattel slavery.
Yeah, the January 6th is right up there next to the Holocaust and slavery.
Don't even understand I became involved with Sonny's one-woman campaign. Opposed to humor for someone who she frequently names drops people she knows about, she responds to a legal and social joke as if it were a federal violation: hate speech, satire, emotional sarcasm batteries. She acts as like it's an immediate danger to democracy in 2025, and Sonny has yet to discover that jokes from comedians are literally the job. Anticipation that Bill Maher won't public personalities being roasted is like entering a bakery and being there in person displeased that they are offering bread for sale, yet each and every time Maher, as much as smirks as he exhales. Bright short, you'd think he read her 8th grade circuits. Grade diary aloud, full of depressing poems about glittering hearts and justice around her own name. The pearl, the gasp clutch is automated, and she responds as offense is like expressing "I'm hurt" with a mic drop. Is meant to conclude the discussion, but simply because you don't like the news flash, the joke does not imply that it is unlawful, but the actual resistance of Pesta.
I want you to note the tone they all talk with him. I want you to look at Sonny Hostin's body language and the way they look at him and everything else. Just because he is a lefty who hasn't gone completely bananas, here they are talking about the word woke.
The term woke has been, in my view, co-opted by the right and weaponized and bastardized. And so I was surprised to hear you use the term, because historically, as you know, because I think you're quite brilliant, that woke is a word used by the black community to note that we must be aware of social injustices.
But words
and
migrate.
So why is that a bad thing?
It's not a bad thing, and originally that was absolutely a great thing. Alert to injustice. Who's not for that? But words do.
Sonny Hostin's really awkward effort to outwit Megyn Kelly and Bill Maher's live performance was like witnessing someone toss a random put quotations from history in a blender, then send the entire thing flying across the stage. She was praying that anything would stick. Throwing illusions with the precision of a little child throwing spaghetti against the drywall, she plummeted, wild, chaotic, and aimless. Legalese that is half-baked, like grenades. Words are floating around without pins, suggesting that it wasn't there at all. Sound profound, like if she had gone on a binge. Looked through Wikipedia 5 minutes before to display time and referred to it as study. If this would be a courtroom where the stenographer would midway through, they tapped out with a note that it reads incoherently and send assistance. You could almost hear them filing. For emotional hazard compensation in the interim, Bill Maher Stone sat still and unconcerned, as though he was relaxing in those crazy outbursts bounced off the cryo chamber. This dude is like foam darts on concrete. Had been enduring heated takes while ideological minefields ever when you dialed up might see the years of media education sighing inwardly, not this again. Whenever Sonny attempted to corner him with that powerfully moral spirit, like as she was giving a scene-stealing performance. You remembered her from her courtroom diatribe. If you imagined it going viral, You could nearly listen to the hypothetical captioned TikToks such as, SLE Queen shuts down misogyny. However, Maher is already mentally verifying out most likely drinking fake wine and pondering whether he might avoid traffic. Oh, Megyn didn't flinch when she saw LAX. She didn't give a louder voice. Her rebuttals were concise and to the point. Exact surgery and a chilly one utterance from her, and the whole Sunny practiced a performance in that morning's evaporated sunlit mirror appeared to be acting quietly. Deconstructed by someone who has already written removed her credibility and submitted it for recycling was a topic of discussion. Not a Megyn Kelly and full-on exorcism presented the frigid cleric with reason and no feeling, but Sunny flailed in an attempt to persuade the viewers that reality was but another prejudiced viewpoint.
Goldberg was angry when Alyssa pointed out that Trump went to the funeral of Officer Diller.
Yes.
On Long Island, and Joe Biden went to a podcast. Look at Whoopi Goldberg's reaction.
Choose what you like there, but for Republicans, it was good imagery.
Really?
One day later, yes.
And I'm asking that because I was so offended because you know who showed up.
Yeah.
And he was, whether he was asked or not. This is a man who didn't care what happened to the officers on January 6th.
She promotes Joe Biden and Kamala Harris every day on that show. Trump wasn't supportive enough of the cops who were, yes, in danger on J 6th. How does that explain their behavior on a daily basis?
Let's discuss the actual catastrophe. Here, Sunny Hostin's steadfast faith that her indignation is always warranted. She presents herself as though her views are holy writings and everyone with courage questioning them has to be humiliated and reprimanded. Ideally prior to the next, she is not here to take a commercial break. Share thoughts. She's here to perform. Each part turns into a courtroom custom, in which she portrays a judge, jury, and prosecutor. And Hype Woman, which the crowd just anticipated to clap on cue immediately following joint advertisements nutrients, lattes made with oat milk, and if she brought something new, to be honest, may be worth the trip to the table. Show, but not Sunny's rendition of truth is only a combination of patronizing tone, carefully chosen statistics, and guilt-traveling tales that are really moving enough to cause you to reconsider possessing any idea. She will spend 10 minutes discussing inequality in using a barista's misspelling in America on her cup as proof that, in the conclusion, you're not more knowledgeable. You're only psychologically fried and unsure whether you unintentionally ordered, which was a microaggression. Here's the twist, Sunny. A muffin she loves to say that she's all about positive ladies until one of them has the courage to when you confront her, unity is snatched away. The sisterhood speech and the window comfortably falls behind.
Last week you called white Republican women cockroaches.
Actually, I didn't. And
you said they're acting like cockroaches.
I used in a similar. Let me answer that.
Okay,
I used
so
a metaphor.
here's what I'm going to ask you all to do. Here's what I'm going to ask you to do.
Wow. Yeah.
I'm going to ask you to tone it down a bit because I can't hear anything. No one can hear what's being
said. She just said I called white women roaches.
All right, we're going to go to break. We're going to break.
Like that sisterhood was immediately the window and into open warfare. As soon as Megyn Kelly proposed that not all disputes have their origins in sexism or racism, Sunny appeared to have the intention of pulling Megyn's lady card and shred it live on television because obviously there's nothing that shouts female empowerment like regulating who is permitted to think for themselves. Yet this is the true pinnacle of the transmission malfunction occurred when Sunny recognized that she was falling behind. So she used her go-to escape maneuver to rotate to victim. Mindset dried up the facts and reasoning. Did not have enough time to change the emotional switch abruptly. There was no argument. Nonetheless, it was an attack on her personally. Whole life in Sunny's universe disagreement with her is not only incorrect. It poses a threat to democracy. Harmful to pups and most likely mimosas are at peril because of her dramatic spectrum that is truly Oscar-worthy. In the interim, Bill Maher remained calm, without any showmanship. Spiral just demonstrating patiently how the entire spectacle had devolved into a farce. Sunny struggled for a moral high. He struck her with one-liners on the ground that fell out of her like truth bombs. Stuttering like someone into the microphone, attempting to revive a frozen viewpoint.
And by the way, out there, that hat that you keep wearing, that red hat that says "Make America Great Again," that tells people that you go along with this. So you might as well just put a swastika on the hat.
Don't do that. Let's not do that.
Because we see it anyway.
I'm not going to defend Donald Trump ever, but I would never say that we should put the swastika on the cap, because I think you can hate Donald Trump. You can't hate everybody who likes him. It's half the country. I don't want to live in that country. I don't want to live in the country where I hate half the country, and I don't hate half the country.
How dare you disagree with me?
And let's really, what dignity did she still possess at that point? Point was hidden behind a pile of overcooked heated takes, deleted tweets, and together, a million viewers support staring at their televisions and pleading for someone to Sunny, say anything that makes sense. Wasn't literally collapsing, but observing her viewpoint change in real-time era perspective that was unable to manage pushback, couldn't tolerate humor, and undoubtedly couldn't endure a dialogue in which cards are not your savior. She believed that shouting loudly would keep democracy. But what she received was a cruel lesson in the wild, comedy, and logic idea that she might not actually be the sharpest voice in the room at all times, and her ardent supporters will twist it the rest of us. Witnessed the courageous act. Meltdown for what it was in reality. The lighting was fully up, revealing a script that is no longer functional. The rest of us recognized it for what it really was a full-fledged outburst in heels. Holding a microphone as if it were a moral compass, but the one that was whirling, and no one was able to determine where the indignation was intended to go in a society where the majority of people are just weary of the yelling, weary of people hit on the lectures for a reason. Mute. Disagreement isn't always the issue. Sanity is the only consideration at times when Sunny indulges in one of her guilt trips for 10 minutes. Marathons, individuals would want to take their likelihood of a dentist drilling on Max louder than listening to a different lecture about how, in private, laughing is oppression because the bottom is hairline, regardless of how loud she gets. How frequently she gasps or how frequently she attempts to act as a morality police, yet none of that changes the course of events. Sunny the host was roasted, cooked, disassembled, and not by yelling, but by using reasoning and composed delivery from those who won't require emotive theater or cards, and the remains are not subject to discussion. What remains spells just one thing. Exposed. But hey, if you're interested in elite drama, public meltdowns, and the occasionally, a harsh reality check, be remember to use the like button. For more, subscribe, and we'll see you in the saga's next one is far away.